Just imagine if a Shaolin monk starts studying at a regular school. What would happen to the other kids? Something similar happens in our story today. The story begins with a boy named Li, who teaches Kung Fu at a Shaolin Gurukul. He had been training there since birth. One day he went to the temple in the Gurukul and apologized because what he was about to do might not be right. Just then, a warrior attacked him from the side. Li was startled by the sudden attack, but he somehow managed to fight back. The warrior threw him against the wall, but Li quickly returned, attacking the warrior midair and defeating him within moments. Then it was time for sword fighting, and Li easily defeated the warrior with his skills. Afterward, he approached the third warrior, who was meditating. But as soon as the warrior heard Li approaching, he shattered a bead in the air, causing Li to fall to the ground. The warrior was about to win, but Li slipped away, and an intense fight ensued between them. In the end, Li emerged victorious and bowed before leaving the temple. The Gurukul teacher told him that he had shown the most skill in the exam, so he would have the opportunity to go to a new school in the city. In the city, he would stay with a family of 3, a father and his 2 children. The father was actually a scientist who knew the teacher from the Gurukul. Li then set off for the new city. In school, there was a 15-year-old boy named Feng, who was a taekwondo player. His younger sister, Zhang Xiang, loved him very much. She managed the school's taekwondo club and would point out Feng's flaws after watching his matches so he could improve. Feng's brother was a glutton who thought of nothing but food. The 4 of them were good friends and lived nearby. Their father, Huan, worked hard to provide for them, as his wife had passed away years ago, and he immersed himself in work. He was developing a special device that had caught the attention of the city's thugs. One day, Han called his children, but Feng was unhappy because their father never came home. The doctor promised to come soon and told them to open the gift he had sent home. In reality, the box contained the very device the thugs wanted to steal. Li arrived at the door, and Feng brought him inside to show him his room. Meanwhile, the thugs captured Han and threatened him, demanding the device. The doctor said there was no such device, explaining that he was working on AI technology that would allow his children to talk to a robot with their mother's voice. But the thugs didn't believe him. They found out about the device through CCTV footage and took on the task of stealing it. Dressed in bizarre clothes, they went to Feng's house and decided to break in at night, but then thought it would be easier to steal it during the day when the children were at school. Meanwhile, Li was learning the ways of the new city. He saw Feng watching a taekwondo match and found the sport interesting. That night, when he was meditating, they argued over a video game, but soon started enjoying the game together. Feng opened the gift box in her room and found a panda keychain inside, not knowing it was actually a pen drive that the thugs were after. When she pressed the button, the panda asked for a password. Feng, unsure of what to do, accidentally set the password. When the panda was activated, it spoke with her mother's AI-generated voice. The next morning, Li set off for his first day of school with Feng and Feng. The 2 thugs saw the children leaving and decided to execute their plan. One of them noticed the panda keychain hanging from Feng's bag and made a plan to steal it. On the way, Feng introduced Li to Feng, and one of the thugs stealthily stole the keychain and ran away. But Li saw him, caught up quickly, and took him down. Feng joined in, and together they beat the thug, but he still managed to steal the panda and run away again. The friends caught up to him and knocked him into a trash can on the street. At school, the students were amazed to see a Shaolin warrior in their class. They started asking him questions like, "Can you ever get married?" and "Can you show us some kung fu?" Finally, the teacher quieted them down and told them to save it for playtime. During playtime, the coach announced that their agility would be tested next month, and anyone who didn't pass wouldn't move to the next class. This made Feng nervous, as he was quite overweight and found it difficult to move. The coach then asked everyone to run 100 meters. Li completed 2 laps before the others even finished the first. Then they were asked to do push-ups, and Li, who was already an expert, did over 100 push-ups while the other students struggled to do even 2. Later, he started doing one-handed push-ups, astonishing everyone. Meanwhile, Dr. Han was tied to a chair, being tormented by Larry, who was hitting him with golf balls. That night, the 2 thugs sneaked into Feng's house. Li spotted them and tried to scare them by hiding behind a toy, but they soon saw him and attacked. Feng arrived just in time, but the thugs stole the panda and fled. Li explained everything to Feng and Li, but they thought he was joking. Later, the thugs were seen with their mouths stuffed with golf balls, as they had accidentally stolen a perfume bottle that looked similar to the panda keychain. Larry was getting anxious because he needed to sell the special device to a company within 3 days. He ordered the thugs to get the device as soon as possible. The next day at school, all the students were watching a taekwondo match. Feng and Zhang Xiang were sitting in the back, eavesdropping on 2 ugly girls who were none other than the thugs in disguise. They spotted the panda on Feng's bag and waited for the right moment to steal it. Meanwhile, Li challenged Feng to a match, and all the students rushed forward to watch. The thugs took advantage of the chaos to steal the panda, but their wigs fell off in the process. Feng and Li were having an intense match, with both of them equally matched. In the end, they decided not to harm each other, and the match ended. Just then, everyone turned around and recognized the thugs. The students attacked them, but this time the thugs threatened to harm a child and escaped with the panda device. The children went to the principal and explained everything to the police. Feng felt guilty, thinking that if he hadn't challenged Feng, she wouldn't have strayed from her bag. But the other children comforted him, saying it wasn't his fault. Meanwhile, Larry got his hands on the device and used it to run a program on the computer, but he needed a password to use it. Not knowing the password, he called in some programmers to crack it, but even after a whole day, they couldn't do it. Now Larry was furious. He saw a message on Dr. Han's phone from his daughter, Feng, asking him to come home for her birthday. Larry promised, on behalf of Dr. Han, to attend the party the next day. The next day, Feng and her friends were preparing for her birthday party. The others left to buy gifts, leaving Feng alone at home. She received a message from her father saying he was outside, but as soon as she stepped out, she was kidnapped and taken away in a van. Li and his friends saw her and chased the van on their bicycles. They eventually reached Dr. Han's lab, where they cried out for Feng. Meanwhile, Larry and his business partner were arguing because Larry was supposed to sell the special device the next day, but he still didn't know the password. Enraged, Larry put a knife to Feng's throat and demanded the password. Feng, not knowing the password, said, "That password," and the program activated. Outside, the 2 thugs were guarding the entrance. Li and Feng attacked them and took them down within moments. But then they faced Bradley, Larry's henchman, who was a dangerous fighter. Li and Feng struggled to defeat him even together. Inside the lab, Larry was about to finalize his deal when Feng snuck in and freed her father and brother. They fought off the thugs, and Larry tried to escape with the panda bag, but Dr. Han, Feng, and Feng teamed up to stop him. They beat him up, and Feng joined Feng in fighting Bradley. Finally, they managed to defeat him. The police arrived and arrested all the thugs. Later, Li and Feng received medals from the principal for their bravery. If you liked the video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.